Assalamu alaikum. We are live. We are live. If you need to tap my screen, tap the screen, right? So I am going to talk a little bit about today a specific question that was posted both here on Facebook and on my Instagram about portion sizes. So earlier I kind of like tongue-in-cheekly posted my little lazy girl pre-workout, which was my glass of milk with a measuring cup, and somebody asked me what's a portion size? So I'm going to give you an answer that's probably a little bit different than what you've heard in the past. Excuse the ambulance sound. I'm actually outside in my yard. But and my answer is going to depend on what your fitness goals is. So it's really difficult to give a generalized answer as to what a portion size is. You know, here in America, on the back of every package, you have this kind of like general statement that's made that 2,000 calories is an average adult portion size. But that's really not correct. 2,000 calories is a lot for someone who is, say, 5 feet and 130 pounds, right? 2,000 calories is way more than what that person should be eating. And 2,000 calories is not enough for somebody who may be 6 feet and 250 pounds, right? So you can't really say exactly like everybody should be eating a half of cup of grains. It really depends on a couple of things. It depends on what your goals are, and it depends on your physical size. So calories are based on the physical size of your body, so how much metabolic activity your body has to do. And it really so it obviously varies person to person. What I like to do is, when it comes to counting calories and portion sizes, let me go back to portion sizes. So before we go into counting calories and whether or not that's necessary and what you should be having, let's talk a little bit about portion sizes. So this morning I posted a 1 cup measuring cup, right? And I said that, I drank directly from the measuring cups because, hey, why dirty a glass? And I encourage anybody who is looking to lose weight or maintain the weight loss that they have, that you should go 30 days with just looking at portion sizes. So literally measuring and weighing your food. That's not so that you can keep up with every single calorie that goes in your mouth. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not good. But rather that is so that you will know what a portion size looks like. So most people, when you show them a plate with no measuring tools, they underestimate how much is actually on the plate. So when they did surveys and they asked people, how many calories do you think this food is? Or how many calories do you think that you take in? 80% of the people actually underestimated how much they were taking in. But then when they went to physical activity and they say, you ran a mile, how many calories do you think you burned? Most people overestimated how many calories they burn. So this is a part of our delusions of grandeur, I guess, where we tend to think that we eat less than we actually do, and we think we work harder than we actually do. So it's really important that you understand what a portion size looks like. So when you're looking at a package and it says a serving is 1 cup, what does that cup look like on your plate? This happens often when people eat cereal or even eat grains, right? So what does that actually look like? And in general, as a very general statement, you want to make sure that your plate includes both a lean protein, a fruit and vegetable, and some type of grain. So that's a general rule. What I like to tell people for portion sizes, so what happens if you are, say, out to dinner or you're at a friend's house and you don't know what the portion size is. I tell people that a general rule for each person to individualize your portion sizes, look at your hand, right? So here is a general rule that I like to give my clients. A serving of lean protein is your hand from wrist to knuckle, right? So that is that's the size, the physical size. And then when you flatten your hand, it should be about the width of your hand. So oftentimes you'll hear people say, which is a general guideline of a deck of cards, but a deck of cards is not appropriate for everybody. Again, let's look at the two extremes. Somebody that's, say, 5 feet and 125 pounds and somebody that's 6 feet and 250 pounds. Both of them should not be eating a deck of cards for a serving of protein. But your body will tell you, this is a way for your body to tell you what's appropriate for you. So again, lean protein, you want it to be about as thick as your hand, not someone else's hand, your hand, and the size should be about from knuckle to wrist, right? And then the width of your knuckles. So that is what you want to go. That is what you want to go for when it comes to protein. When it comes to grains, so we're talking about rice, we're talking about potatoes, we're talking about quinoa, we're talking about pastas, you want to eat about a cupped handful. So not an overflowing cupped handful, but if you take your hand, you put the rice in your hand and kind of level it off sort of like you would do a cup, that is what you want to eat as far as grains. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, it should be 2 cupped hands. So that's a general rule. If you do that and put it on your plate, you will see that the portion sizes are appropriate for you, and it's really going to keep you paying attention to what you're eating. Because, you know, sometimes we make a plate and the fruits and vegetables and grains is reverse. We actually have like 2 whole cups full of rice, and then we have a little bit of salad or greens on the side. So try to reverse that. So that would be actually the number one thing. So the first thing that I tell people, particularly so we're talking specifically about weight loss here. When it comes to weight loss, be sure that you are paying attention to the portion sizes of your food. So even before you have a program and you need to know how many macronutrients that you take in, or even if you're doing a calorie count thing, you know, all of that is relative to whatever your fitness goal is. You want to make sure that you know what a portion size looks like. So if your meal plan requires you to have 4 ounces of chicken because it has 25 grams of protein, you actually know what 4 ounces of chicken looks like, right? So that's really important. The second question that is asked most often is, do I need to count calories? So I'm going to answer this in 2 ways depending on your fitness goals, right? So I tell people, I'll tell you a little bit. I've been a personal trainer for over 15 years, and I've dealt with thousands of women, creating programs for them, and I have seen a lot of similarities as to where people are in their fitness journey and what they need to do at that particular point. So I kind of separate my clients when I start kind of like the skeleton of their program. Oh, that's my street sweeper. Sorry. So when I create the skeleton of their program, I base it on a couple of things. How many pounds do you have to lose, right? So people who need to lose 50 or more pounds are at a different part of their fitness journey. I'm going to let them pass. Okay. So people who need to lose 50 or more pounds are at a different part of their fitness journey than someone who needs to lose 20 pounds, right? So it's a completely different. The mindset is different. The things they have to do is different. Their physical capabilities is different. All of those things are related to where they are in their fitness journey and how much weight they have to lose. So in general, I tell people, if you have to lose more than 20 pounds, then you really don't need to count calories. Now we're really looking at portion sizes and quality of food that you're eating, right? If you are on your last 10 or 15 pounds, then and you're at a stuck period, then maybe counting calories could be beneficial, because you need to actually know what you're eating so you see what is working and what you need to change. So we look at calories and we look at macronutrients. So that's really important that you look at both of those things. You want to, so again, if you got more than 20 pounds, let's focus on those portion sizes that we talked about earlier, and let's focus on the quality of food that you're eating. So we want to really make sure that we're eating high quality whole foods to get the weight off, because our body processes whole foods a whole lot different than it does processed and packaged and pre-done things, right? So you are actually not getting quality food, and your metabolism does not respond the same to pre-packaged, subsidized things that are subsidized with vitamin and nutrients versus things that occur in nature. They're processed different in our body. The important thing, and I think that this is probably the most important lesson that we all need to kind of ingrain in our head, I like to use the metaphor that your body is not a bank. You don't put in a certain amount of calories or take out a certain amount of calories and then there's an automatic calculation, right? If that was the case, then losing weight would be easy for everyone. But our body is more like the stock market. Every calorie has a different value based on where it comes from, right? So in stocks, each company's, even though it's one particular stock, it's worth a different amount. Food calories are the same thing. So a banana muffin is going to be processed differently in your body than a banana, right? So 100 calories of a candy bar is going to be processed in your body very differently than 100 calories of a piece of chicken breast. It's processed in your body very differently, and your metabolism breaks it down and use more of the whole food, and meaning not storing it, than it would of the processed food. So it's really important that we understand that concept, that it's not calories in, calories out. That is a really old, dead philosophy. We have so much research behind why that's not the case. Every calorie is not processed the same in our body. So those are the things that I wanted to remind you of. And if no one has any questions today? Hi, Busra. Hi, Aliyah. Thank you, Sagal. And Salaam Alaikum, Shabana. So I am giving my shout outs. So that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today. So that's actually all for me today. I wanted to try to actually shorten my videos a little bit. I might come back on later just so that people feel like they can get the information that they need right from the title, and they don't have to, sometimes it's difficult watching a really long video. So I hope that was helpful for you. And if you're going to take one thing away, so every time I come on and I give you a tip, I want you to take one thing away that you can apply to your everyday life immediately. The first thing that you would take away is know what you're eating, how much you're eating, even if you're not curtailing it. So just for this next week, you literally just measure how much. So here's an example. My cup of coffee, right? I actually really love coffee. I know exactly before I counted the calories in it. So here's an example of how you can apply it without changing anything. It's just important that you know how much you're eating, right? So I know if my coffee is right based on the color. Like I like kind of like this. Oops. I'm gonna hold it up. I kind of like this like mocha brown kind of color, right? So I know that, I can drink it black, but I really like a little cream and sugar. And so I know what it looks like when it's ready. And so what I did was I took a tablespoon and I actually started adding tablespoon at a time so that I can estimate about how much cream I'm putting in it, right? So I know, because I normally just pour it from the container and you don't know exactly amount. But what I did one day is I actually started doing it by tablespoons so I can actually see how many tablespoons of cream I'm putting inside my coffee in order to get it that color. And then I actually measured how many teaspoons, using a measuring teaspoon, how many teaspoons that I'm putting inside of my coffee to get it to the taste that I want. And so I figured, after I did all of my calculation and I looked up how much calories is per tablespoon, how many calories per teaspoon of sugar, I use raw sugar. When I looked those things up, what I found is that my cup of coffee, even though coffee itself, it's black, has, I think, maybe 4 calories in a cup of coffee that's black. When I add my cream and sugar, I'm at about 65 calories. So I need to know that, and I need to know how many grams of carbs. I do protein. For me and my particular fitness goal, and for my clients, what I focus on more than calories is really macronutrient counts, because the way that our body stores and process food has a lot to do with what macronutrient it's getting it from. So the body processes calories from fat different than it processes calories from protein, and different than it processes calories from carbohydrates. So I really look at those things all the time. Really, so Sheeta, is that a question? You're always hungry. So here is a great thing about it. So there's a good and there is a and a way that you can what do you call it? You can troubleshoot that. One, if you are hungry, that is a good sign, because that means that your metabolism is revving. Actually, it is a good thing to be hungry, right? Because when you're hungry and you're getting hungry, so for example, I'm trying to get back to my normal routine outside of Ramadan, where I'm eating consistently throughout the day, right? So when my body uses up all of the food for the previous meal, it tells me that it's time for my next meal because I feel hungry. When people tell me the opposite and they say, well, I can go all day without eating anything, that is when I actually become concerned. Because if you can go all day and not be hungry, that means your metabolism has slowed down. It's slowed down. That means that you don't want to be able to go all day long and not even want any food. That actually means that your metabolism is slow, and we have to get you on a regular eating schedule to speed it up. I'm looking at my next question. Eat whatever I want, never look at calories, but I work out so I can be balanced and always try to be active. Alhamdulillah, Afra, that is actually really good. That's great for people who are able to maintain their weight, and it has a lot to do with genetics. So unfortunately for a lot of people, they can't just eat whatever they want, right? So, but that's great for you. I think that's awesome. I'm one of those people, I can't just eat whatever I want. Like, if I just start eating anything, it shows. So I have to be very conscious of of my food choices, especially as I get older. Layla, should you count calories? So you tuned in a little bit late in the talk. So I did talk about that at the beginning. I talked about that for probably like the first 2 minutes. So after we're done, you just want to just go back and watch from the beginning. After Ramadan, how do we start again? Oh, from South Africa. Assalamu alaikum, Fahima from South Africa. After Ramadan, how do you start again? So I am right there with you. And I think that the best way to start again is really remembering and actually writing down what you did prior to Ramadan. Like, what was your schedule? Because sometimes we're forgetful. We're like, well, I kind of did this and I kind of did that. But get back to the specifics of what your schedule is. And then it's really about kind of like the same thing. Just get up and start, right? So wake yourself up every day. Start back on your consistent schedule, because our sleeping is way off. in Ramadan. Their sleeping schedule is crazy. So the first thing that I would suggest, so here is my post-Ramadan tips. The first thing that I would suggest to get ourselves back on track is to resume a normal sleeping schedule. Sleep is absolutely essential to health. Not only is it essential to weight loss, and I'll talk about that a little bit since we're talking about weight loss in general, but it's also just it's very important when it comes to health. They find that people who don't get enough sleep are more likely to suffer from depression. One of the physiological things that happens when we're asleep is our body actually rids the toxins that accumulate in our brain throughout the day. With all of the stuff that we're doing and where our brain is working throughout the day, it actually builds up certain these what they consider toxins that are released during the night. Our body restores itself. So let me go back too. And sleep is the only way to get rid of it, right? So don't say like, oh, I'm gonna go on a detox to detox my brain. No, the only way you can get rid of those toxins is actually going to sleep, right? Nothing replaces sleep but sleep. And I'm gonna give my husband credit for that because he's always saying that. So I'm gonna steal his little saying. Nothing replaces sleep but sleep. Not your diet. We just had a conversation with a friend who said he meditates so that he does not have to sleep. And meditation is good, but nothing replaces sleep but sleep. One of the things another thing as well is what sleep does is when you get the proper amount of sleep, people who get sufficient sleep lose weight quicker and they're able to maintain their weight longer. So here's what happens after just one night of not getting the proper rest. You actually shift your hormones in your body. Everything from ghrelin to insulin to leptin, all of those hormones are actually off balance. So one of the things that, for example, the hormone that makes us hungry is ghrelin. The hormones that tells us we're not hungry anymore is leptin. And so when we don't get enough sleep, immediately the next day our ghrelin hormone goes up, which means you're going to eat more. You're going to be less satisfied because your leptin is going to go down. So it is going to make you want to eat more because your brain isn't getting a signal that I'm full. Your insulin level, so important for everyone in general, particularly for people who are pre-diabetic or diabetic. It completely throws off the balance of your insulin level. Your body has a very hard time adjusting the day after you did not get enough sleep. So sleep is absolutely essential. So that is the first thing that I would say. That's the first thing that I would say we need to do after Ramadan. Resume a normal sleep schedule. And so when we talk about what's enough sleep, so of course I'm going to have people to say, oh, well, I do fine off of 5 hours of sleep. There are always exceptions to the rule. However, the research shows that on average, men need 7 to 8 hours and women need 8 to 9 hours. Our body actually needs more sleep, right? So it's really important that we calculate. One of the things that I do when I create a schedule for myself, when I'm going to exercise, when I'm going to schedule in, I run a couple of different businesses, when I'm going to schedule clients, is I actually I reverse engineer my day. This is when I need to sleep. Okay, this is when Fajr comes in. This is when I need to go to bed. And then everything else kind of works around that. Because sleep, I know for me, I immediately know a difference. And all of the research says that that's kind of like the baseline of what we need just to function well. The second thing that I would say after Ramadan is get back into drinking enough water throughout your day. We try to mash everything in that kind of like little 5 or 6 hour period we had between iftar and going to sleep, right? So now we need to resume that water schedule so that we can stay hydrated throughout the day. And then the third thing, I would say get back to your regular eating habits, of your healthy eating habits, eating 3 to 5 times a day, 3 meals, 2 snacks, and balancing your meals throughout the day. Deb, you want to know ideas for pre-diabetics? And Shayla once said that she eats 3 meals that contains almost 1,400 calories. So, Shayla, let me say that the amount of calories you eat is not, I can't say that it's good or bad, because it is very dependent on not just your weight, but it also dependent on your height. It also depends on your body fat percentage. So how many calories you take in is really an individualized thing. The next question was pre-diabetic. So there are, Deb, let me say, the next time I log on, I'm going to do something specifically about diabetes and pre-diabetics. That's a very extensive conversation, but the first thing that I would tell you just quickly is certainly focus on having more protein and more fruits and vegetables, and staying away or decreasing the amount of simple carbohydrates you have. So for example, an apple would be a better choice than a banana, right? So because bananas are really high in carbs. Understand that you are looking at macronutrients, not calories so far. So what that means is that you have to be very conscious of the carbohydrates that you eat, and understand that carbohydrates is a macronutrient in a food. It is not a food. So for example, a banana has 30 grams of carbohydrates in it. One slice of bread has 13 grams of carbohydrates in it. So when you're talking about carbohydrates and you look at a banana and you may say, oh, well, that's a fruit and that's a good thing, versus me having a slice of bread. Carbohydrate wise, the slice of bread, whole wheat bread, would actually be better for you. The same thing, an apple has about 13 grams of carbs. Peas, carrots, and corn is counted as carbohydrates, not a vegetable, for people who are pre-diabetic and diabetic, because of the amount of carbohydrates that are in them. So I'm going to put a note to myself to actually do something specifically around diabetes. How do you keep active? Shadi said, how do you keep active when it's humid? Let me tell you, girl, it's about 90 degrees right now. And what I did this morning was, so I taught her boot camp at 6:30 in the morning, and it was still kind of cool, humid, but kind of cool. And I try to get my workout in during the morning. If you follow me on Snapchat, you know that I was out bike riding right after boot camp. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this ride in to get a little bit extra. That's the first thing that I would do. Second thing is that you say you hate going to the gym. We're here. I really don't like the gym either. I love outdoors, and if I'm not outdoors, then I'm most likely doing a workout in my house. I have a gym membership only because it was a gym that's connected to the college that I was going to, and it was really cheap. And so I actually was going to the gym a couple of days a week. But it's definitely not my preference. And I don't think that you should have to. I think working out in your house, you can get an awesome workout. You can, get just as an effective workout with some dumbbells and a 6x6 space in your house. So, so you stay active by making sure you go early in the morning. Determine your workout based on the weather, specifically for us hijabis, right? I used to have this conversation with my husband all the time. He wants to go running, and I'm like, dude, it's like 90 degrees out, and I gotta wear all these clothes. I don't think so. So he's not a morning person, so he's like, oh, it's 2:00 in the afternoon, let's go for a run. And I'm like, no, dude, no, that's all you. I can't do it. So I really do. That's another reason why I plan my workouts in the morning time, and I have become a morning person a while ago, but that's the first thing that I would suggest, is to plan your workouts in the morning and or late afternoon when it's cooler. All right. So I think that that is all for me today, and inshallah, I will talk to you very soon. All right. Assalamu alaikum.